Hello everyone, this is Dr. Savita. Uh, in continuation with the VTU chemistry syllabus, I am now discussing on module 4 environment pollution and water chemistry. All the videos which has been uploaded is in the YouTube channel my Intuition. Kindly refer, like and share the videos. Next, the first part is, as we have already discussed, it is pollution, air pollution, and then waste management. And the second part is water chemistry. Now, water chemistry, uh, water is the most wonderful and precious gift of nature to all the living beings on the earth. We all know that we have used water. And if you see the distribution of water, you can see almost all water on the earth, that is 97% is present in the as salt water in the ocean. And the fresh water is only 3%. Right? Out of the 3% of fresh water, out of the 3%, around 68, almost 69% is present as ice caps and glaciers, which we cannot use. And the remaining, in that remaining, 30% is present as groundwater, and the surface water is only 0.3%. That is 0.3% of the 3%, because only fresh water is only 3%. Okay, in that 0.3% is the surface water. Okay, now the surface water is coming from the lakes, swamps. All these are the resources or the sources for the surface water, right? That is, if you see on the whole, only see 3 into 10 to the power minus 6 minus 7, 3 into 10 to the power minus 7% of water is available for us as fresh water. Okay, then we let us now discuss on sources of water. Okay, there are two sources of water. One is surface water, the other one is underground water. Right, now coming discussing on underground water, the underground water is present as a spring or well water. Right, it comes out, it is available for human usage when it comes out as a spring during rainy season or when we dig a well. Okay, now underground water are clear in appearance due to the filtering action of the soil, but contains more of the dissolved salts because it is coming through soil, and dissolved salts are present in the soil. Usually underground water is of high purity. Next is surface water. In surface water we have rainwater. Rainwater is supposed to be the purest form of water, but sometimes, I mean, however, when it comes down through its journey, it dissolves uh, various considerable amount of gases and suspended solid particles from the atmosphere, and if the pollution is more, it will dissolve more of these particles. Next is river water. As you all know, river water is the flowing water. It contains dissolved minerals of the soil, because when it flows through the soil it dissolves, like chloride, sulfates, bicarbonates of sodium, calcium, magnesium and iron. It also contains organic matter, because while flowing, if it is in contact with this nearby um, the areas which contribute to the organic matter. Okay, the next one is lake water. It is same as that of river water. It contains less dissolved oxygen, I mean dissolved minerals, but it has high quantity of organic matter. Next is seawater. Seawater is a most impure form of natural water. It contains on an average about 3.5% of the dissolved salts, and this water cannot be used. Okay. Now coming to the impurities, general impurities present in water. Right. Now impurities present in water are dissolved gases. Dissolved gases means gases which are trapped in the water bodies, like carbon dioxide and oxygen. Okay. Some water may also contain ammonia, hydrogen sulfide as impurities, and if these gases are dissolved, it gives a foul smell to water. Okay. Next one is dissolved solids. Solids means which is soluble salts of calcium and magnesium and sodium in various soluble forms. Okay. In addition to these, Oxides of manganese, iron, lead, and arsenic may also be present in water as pollutant. These may be added to water due to various human activities or industries or areas where it is being used. Okay. Next one is you have suspended impurities. Suspended impurities means water which, impurities that we can see, like particulate matter and colloids. These can be seen, are bigger, and these can be visible. Okay, this includes silt, dirt, dust, and other grease that float on water. Okay, urban runoff is often an important source of particulates in the surface water. Suspended impurities impart turbidity and color to the water. Okay, next type of impurity present in water is microbial impurities. Microbial impurities such as bacteria, virus, protozoa, all these impurities or pollutants enter water through untreated sewage, storm drains, septic tanks, runoff from farms. All these are the sources. Okay, these pollutants generally cause illness such as diarrhea, cramps, nausea, cholera, etc. Okay, bacteria like coliform or E. coli are the common which is present, which is added due to human or animal waste. Okay. Next topic we shall be discussing is boiler feed water and boiler troubles. Boiler feed water means it is the water that is fed into the boiler for the steam generation. Okay. The water available from the polluted sources such as rivers, lakes, and wells contains various amounts of different impurities. Use of this water, that is impure water, into the boiler leads to different types of boiler problems or boiler troubles. Okay. Some of the boiler troubles are, first one is scale formation, second one is sludge formation. Okay. In the boiler, generally water is taken and it is boiled to produce the steam. Okay. When the water gets converted into steam or vapor, the salt is left behind. Okay. When the concentration of the salt increases or reaches the supersaturation level, then the salts begin to separate out as insoluble precipitate. Okay. These precipitates are depending upon their physical properties are classified as a scales and sludge. Okay, first let us say about sludge. Sludge means the precipitates are soft and non-adherent. That means you can see in the figure here, this is the boiler wall. Here inside water, these black particles are the sludge particles. These are precipitates which are loosely hung and it is soft. Okay, whereas the sludge is, if the impurities or if the precipitate go on getting deposited on the inner walls of the what boiler or tubes or whatever, if it goes on getting accumulated as hard, adherent, and a firm deposit, then it is called as sludge. Okay, now generally scales and sludge, see, sludge is formed due to the salts of these calcium and magnesium, phosphates, chlorides, carbonates, sulfates, and scale is generally formed by silicates, calcium and magnesium silicates, calcium sulfate, calcium sulfide. Okay, these are the general chemicals or salts which causes scales. Okay, now what are the harmful effects? Harmful effects is sludge, it has minimal effects compared to scale, but scales, that is the adherent deposit of the what impurities, precipitates along the inner side of the tubes or boiler, whatever, it is having lot of harmful effects. Okay? Because they are non-conducting and they act as an insulator layer between the boiler metal and the water, and it hinders the heat transfer from the boiler to water, which causes the wastage of the fuel. And overheating of the boiler is required, because since the scales are non-conductors, and this leads to distortion of the metal and therefore unsafe to bear the steam pressure. Okay. Next, you have the thermal expansion of the scale is low compared to that of the boiler metal, which causes uneven expansion of scales and the metal, resulting in the formation of cracks. Okay, when the cracks are formed, water seeps into these cracks, comes in contact with the boiler metal, which is now overheated because since we are using I mean boiler metal will be hot during the operation. Here when the water reaches there, it gets suddenly it gets converted into steam. Okay, formation of large quantity of a steam suddenly causes the increase in the pressure and may also lead to explosion of the boiler. Okay, the deposition of the scales in the boiler tubes, valves, etc. decreases the boiler efficiency also, right? Next type of boiler troubles, scale and sludge we have discussed. Next one is priming and foaming. Okay, now priming means when you boil water, some drops of water also gets included with the steam, that is wet steam. It is called wet steam. It is called priming. Okay, the foaming means the production of stable and persistent foam or bubbles on the surface of the boiler water. This is called foaming. Priming generally happens when impure water boils violently in a boiler and some tiny droplets of water containing these impurities are carried along with the steam. Okay. Now, foaming is the stable bubbles or the foam that is formed. It is also due to dissolved salts, and dissolved salts along with the steam, if it is carried along with the salts, along with the bubble, along with the steam, it also results in priming. Thus, priming and foaming occur together in a boiler. Okay, causes for priming. Uh, Generally, presence of suspended impurities, dissolved impurities, and formation of the scale and sludge in the boiler, non-uniform and sudden heating of the boiler. If suddenly, when you heat the boiler, or high level of water taken in the boiler, defective boiler design, excess foaming, all these are the reasons for the priming to occur. Foaming, the presence of oil and grease impurities in water generally causes the foaming. Okay, the residual alkalinity in water, for example sodium bicarbonate, reacts with the oil to form soap, which promotes excessive foaming. Now what are the harmful effects? Okay, now dissolved salts carried out by wet steam get deposited on the turbine blades and other machine parts, which causes the corrosion problems, decreasing their lifespan as well as efficiency. Otherwise also, if dissolved salts are not present, then also if the wet steam uh, will become heavy because of the water, and in certain in the pipes and in certain regions it becomes, it condenses in the cooler regions, it condenses, therefore the efficiency of the steam also reduces. Okay, foaming, as foaming leads to priming, the if harmful effects of priming is also observed due to foaming also. Okay, now how to prevent priming and foaming? The prevention of foaming and priming can be done by proper design of the boiler, maintaining an optimum level during the boiler, because if you take beyond a certain level during boiling, there are chances that water gets incorporated or added with the steam. Feeding the water free from impurities, because if at all priming occurs, if impurities are present, these salts, there is a possibility that these salts get added with the steam. Okay, periodic removal of concentrated salts and deposited sludge from the boiler, because if scale and sludge gets deposited, the inner diameter or the inner volume of the boiler reduces, therefore we will not come to know how much water is to be added, which generally when you add increases the water level, therefore it will easily leads to priming. Okay, regulating the rate of steam generation and demand for steam. Next type of boiler trouble is boiler corrosion. Okay, scales formation, loosely held impurities, sludge formation. I mean, scale is not loosely held. Scale is the strong adherent deposition of the solid impurities, scales or salts. Sludge is loose or soft impurities, suspended impurities. Then priming is adding of water, mixing of water droplets along with the steam. Foaming is the formation of foam. Boiler corrosion is one of the, again, dangerous type of uh, problem which is generally faced by the boiler due to the untreated water. Okay, if the water contains dissolved oxygen, dissolved carbon dioxide, and dissolved magnesium chloride, then the boiler is more prone for corrosion. Okay, now let us discuss on boiler corrosion due to dissolved oxygen, carbon dioxide, and magnesium chloride separately. Okay, first let us discuss on dissolved oxygen. Dissolved oxygen means oxygen that is dissolved in the water, the I mean water which is fed into the boiler. Okay, now when the water contains more of dissolved oxygen, we know that we have clearly discussed on the reactions of corrosion in the presence of oxygen, right? So easily see, you can see the reaction. Iron, that is the boiler material. Water is anyway, boiler means it will be filled with water. If there is dissolved oxygen, easily it forms ferrous hydroxide. Okay? This ferrous hydroxide in turn continues the reaction to form the hematite. Okay, the boiler corrosion caused by the presence of dissolved oxygen can be prevented by eliminating the dissolved oxygen or reducing the amount of oxygen from the boiler water. Okay, now how to remove the dissolved oxygen? One is mechanical deaeration method. Okay, water is made to filter through a series of perforated plates fitted with large chambers called deaerator. Okay, then the water is stored in a large area and it is exposed where there is naturally water is escape oxygen is escaping out. Okay? The deaerator is heated externally and connected to a vacuum pump to remove the oxygen that is dissolved. Okay, this is mechanical deaeration method. Second method is chemical treatment method. Okay, water is treated with the oxygen scavengers like reducing agents. These effectively remove the dissolved oxygen. Okay, some of the example for oxygen scavengers are hydrazine, sodium sulfite, etc. Okay, so these are some of the oxygen scavengers which, when added to water, it will react with, or it will absorb the dissolved oxygen. Okay. Next, the boiler corrosion due to dissolved carbon dioxide. Okay, water always contains variable amounts of dissolved carbon dioxide. Okay, this dissolved carbon dioxide is a key for the boiler corrosion to take place. Okay, the decomposition of residual bicarbonates also contribute to the increase of carbon dioxide. Suppose the water is contaminated by bicarbonate, like so magnesium bicarbonate. When you heat, easily bicarbonate gets converted into carbonate, releasing water. Okay, now this dissolved carbon dioxide uh, in the hot condition easily gets converted into carbonic acid. Okay, now carbonic acid in any acidic medium, metal undergoes easy corrosion. Okay, carbon dioxide is the main reason for the formation of carbonic acid, and carbon dioxide can be eliminated from the boiler by the addition of ammonia, calculated amount of ammonia. Next, boiler corrosion due to dissolved magnesium chloride. Okay, the presence of magnesium chloride. If a magnesium chloride is present in the boiler water, it dissolves in water in the hot condition, because boiler is getting operated at a higher temperature. It easily gets converted into hydrogen chloride, that is hydrochloric acid. So water goes on getting converted into acidic medium. Okay, in an acidic medium, corrosion anyway is faster. Therefore, iron is the boiler material. It reacts with the water, hydrochloric acid, which is formed due to the presence of magnesium chloride, forming liberating hydrogen gas. Therefore, the metal goes on getting corroded. Okay, first the first regenerated hydrochloric acid. See, you can see ferric chloride is formed due to the reaction of one hydrochloric acid, and this ferrous chloride reacts with water, liberating two molecules of hydrogen chloride. Okay, therefore very little amount of magnesium chloride is enough, because to start the corrosion, because and it causes continuous corrosion of the boiler. Okay, so all the videos, the next topic also, I will be uploading in the my Intuition channel. Thank you.